by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, we're going to have a lot of things to discuss here today, folks. Of course, Razorback basketball happening in Madison Square Garden. That's where Curtis is currently at. Even though his setup looks the same, he does not travel with the actual home studio. It just happens to look that way. But we will... Okay. Yeah, it worked out perfectly. So we will get into that, a little bit of discussion on that, as well as some other news going out in the sports world. But guys, we had a lot of people waiting for our show to start here today in the waiting room there on YouTube. And something that just this time of day and this time of year, going to have transfer portal news. And let's just get in right into the latest, where as of right now, there is a report coming from Hog Sports that Razorback running back Braylen Russell has officially entered into the, or will be entering into the transfer portal, I should say. And there is also a report from Rivals or Hogbeat that says that after talking with Braylen Russell, he says that he is not entering into the transfer portal. Somebody's going to be right here, but either way, if he does enter, it's not surprising. It's another huge loss, but still waiting for the confirmed final status and situation right now with running back Braylen Russell.
I mean... What are you going to say? You know, it's this is not surprising at all that we're having a source off in this situation. I will say this: Braylen Russell, whether he talked to Mason or not, he could just put an end to this if he wanted to.
Sure. Just
make his own statement. I'm entering, I'm not. And the fact that he hasn't makes me lean towards the biddy side of things here, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think it's very telling that he hasn't said anything. And, you know, just from my perspective, I just want to go ahead and say, Trey Biddy, a guy that I know, a guy that I worked for, even Mason Choate, neither of those guys are guys that would just put something out for the hell of it, would just make something up. So when Trey puts out and says, hey, we think Braylen Russell's entering the portal, he's got a source that tells him that, I'm inclined to believe him. I'm also inclined to believe Mason when he says that Braylen himself told him he would not enter the portal. But if anyone thinks that an 18, 19-year-old kid is above lying to a reporter, I just don't think they are. And so, look, I think it's definitely telling that he hasn't said anything. And, we'll see where this thing ends up. But it is just perfect. It was just what we needed going into this. But overall, man, regardless of whether or not Braylen Russell enters the portal, I just continue to see all this other news, all these other things circulating with the portal, and I think Razorback fans are very fed up. I also want to issue a little bit of an apology to the Razorback fan base, because I've been kind of arguing with a lot of people, and there are plenty of people that tweet at me and be like, no, everything's fine, and I'll argue with them, but I've taken it out on the rest of the fan base, the rest of our chat. John, your poll question, which I'm sure we're going to get to later, kind of made me realize, you know what? More people agree with me than I think I realized.
Yes, they do, actually. And yeah, we will discuss that, because I'm sure there'll be some more. I even put that out before the news of Braylen Russell reportedly entering into the transfer portal. So I don't even think that would have changed anyone's answer. Or if anything, it would have just made people become more concerned. But we will definitely get into that. But man, this is just one of those things where if you're a Razorback fan right now, you feel like, this is the way I'm going to compare it. You feel like you are coming home from a long day of work and you're not happy with your current life. You're not happy with your current status. You're not happy with the place you live, but it's yours. It's everything. Feel like you're coming home and people are just moving stuff out of your house. And you're like, hey, what's going on here? Oh yeah, we're just moving stuff out of your house. Okay, but why? What's going on? Okay, but I need to talk. Why is this happening? It's just what's going on. You need to talk to somebody else. Okay, and then you go to somebody else. You're like, hey, what's going on? Don't know. You're just moving stuff out of your house. And it drives you up a wall because you're like, hey, hold on. This is my house. This is my stuff. I deserve to know what's going on with it, but no one's telling you anything. And that's how Razorback fans feel at their football program right now. This is their program. This is they're fans of it. And everything's going. And all the stuff is just out. Nothing's coming in. Everything's going out. And there's nobody telling you anything about it. No explanation, no saying, hey, this is just part of it. Or, hey, this is what's going to be countered with that of these people and these players and all that. Nothing. It's just all of it's leaving. You don't know why. You don't know when you'll find out why. and you're really upset and bummed and almost at the point of hysteria where it's just comical of how it's gone and how poorly it's gone, where each and every day major, bad, negative news continues to hit the Razorback football program.
I mean, at some point here, one of two things has to happen, right? Either A, one of the two guys in charge of this operation has to talk about it, or B, one of the two guys in charge of this operation will no longer be in charge of the operation. Like one of those things has to happen. Like at some point, somebody's going to have to talk about this program in general and provide some answers for the hysteria that you're mentioning. And they haven't done that yet, which is weird. So it just makes me wonder, is somebody getting out of here? I mean, like what the heck is going on? None of this makes sense. It doesn't add up. The silence is deafening, and man, the uproar from the external sources, which would be the fan base, just getting louder and louder. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, Curtis, if I went out publicly and I told a lie about you, it's kind of, I mean, whether it's fair or not, it's up to you to speak for yourself and say, hey, no, Andrew is lying about me. Or the people that I tell this lie about, until further notice, are just going to believe the lie that I tell. So look, I can absolutely hear a case for, well, it's really not that bad. And, you know, they can turn this thing around. And look, I said it yesterday, and I still kind of, I don't know if I believe it, but there's a chance that this coaching staff or this athletic department has a plan in place. They were prepared for some of this mass exodus, and they're going to go out there. Look, I mean, there's a few guys that, you know, we're seeing. They got an offensive lineman from Baylor coming. They've got some D2 tight ends, some D2 corners, some D2 wide receivers. Like, there are options that they have. Maybe they have some better tricks up their sleeve. I would just like to hear about it, like you said. And again, I just don't understand how fans right now are expected to just hop on board and be all giddy and happy and just excited about their football team. You have to give people a reason to be excited. You can't just expect them to figure it out on their own or just trust you. You kind of have to go out there and talk. And we talk a lot about how the University of Arkansas, there's a disconnect between the university and the fans. And we talked about it a lot in the basketball context, but I think with football right now, it's crazy how much of a disconnect there is. And what's messed up about it is fans showed up to the freaking games. Mm-hmm. All that disconnect about, you know, what we were talking about, fans were still showing up. Arkansas had one of the best attendance seasons in program history in football this year. Fans were showing up and supporting this team despite the fact that they really didn't have much to believe in. And look, I have no doubt that when next season rolls around, there's going to be a ton of fans that have talked themselves in. And look, they should. That's what you do as a fan. That's what we're probably going to try and do during fall camp. And they're going to show up to this game and support this team. It just sucks that their athletic department is giving them absolutely nothing to work with. And it seems to me like they're almost cowering from the moment, while you have Lane Kiffin and all these other coaches doing press conferences, telling their story. You have Lane Kiffin retweeting stuff, laughing at Arkansas about how he's Arkansas is their farm team now. I mean, look, that's a slap in the face. I think Trey Biddy actually said it himself. He said this is the second time now that Lane Kiffin has basically said, what are you going to do about it, to Arkansas? I mean, he's publicly dancing on your grave, and your head coach is silent. Your athletic director is silent. It's very concerning. And in fact, any questions that are directed toward them get shut down by the Liberty Bowl reps or by even other people in the fan base or whatever. It's like, it's bizarre that like we are the only people that are talking about this, that like we're not even in, like it just seems like nobody wants to talk about it. And I think these next few weeks are going to be very interesting. And we keep saying that we're going to have good news to provide these people. Well, it better come soon, because it's I just feel like day by day, this fan base is getting more and more fed up, and it's hard to blame them.
Man, I wish I could just say something or do something to provide any sort of hope or any sort of positive vibes. Because I was tweeting about this with somebody this morning, because they tagged a few people in the media, and they were saying like, oh, you know, negative stuff or things like that always drive content. Not saying that like we are making up negative stuff. It's just saying negative vibes from the program drive content. And I look at it as we all would rather talk about success and talk about winning teams and winning programs, because that's a lot more fun and everything. This is not something that any of us relish in. Like, we're not sitting here waking up in the morning being like, man, I cannot wait to just trash the Hogs in the football program and Sam Pittman. It's not that at all. But that just shows you the situation that you're in, where there's nothing to counter this in a positive light. There's just nothing. Like, I am begging the U of A. I am begging Sam Pittman. I am begging the Razorback football program, whoever, just give us something to at least point to, be like, okay, here's that, or hey, this is going to be happening. But instead, all we got in a week with all of this going on is that Sam Pittman's excited about the Liberty Bowl. That's all we have. And so it's just maddening. Me personally, I'm getting a little tired and annoyed by every single day, whether it's on Inside Arkansas Live or on my Locked On Razorbacks podcast or on Twitter or, discussed in our group text, guys, of just constantly being like, "What? This is bad. Here's another horrible thing that happened. Here's another horrible thing that happened." And there's just no light at the end of the tunnel right now for Razorback fans, and I hate it for them. I really do.
No, it's frustrating. And when nobody over there is talking about it and it's just us talking about it, we got people acting like we're the Ministry of Darkness over here. We talk about what's happening with the program. And when it's clown shoes or an abject disaster, and like you said, we can't find any positives to really go off of right now. It's just what we have to deal with. And so, yeah, hopefully somebody says something at some point here. But I think about that and it's like, what would be said, like what is Hunter Yurachek going to say? What is Sam Pittman going to say? I think it was like a week ago we had this discussion. I was like, I don't know what either one of those guys would say that would appease anybody right now, but I'd love to see him try.
Yes, that's the key for me, is just, you don't have to say something then all of a sudden all is well. You just tweet out, be like, we hear you. We recognize y'all are mad. We recognize y'all are frustrated and you're scared because you have no idea what's going on and the future looks bleak. We get it, but give us some time. We're going to get this going. We're going to fix it. It's going to be fine. Just something. Lie to me. Just lie to me and say it's going to be fine, even if it's not. But you cannot sit there and tell me in today's age because this is also further. This is beyond like what we talked about last week, and everyone's like, oh, you're just listening to the people on Twitter. No, this is beyond this now. This is beyond just the Twitter mob out there. This is a real thing. You cannot sit there and tell me that Yurachek, Pittman, everybody involved does not feel the temperature rising to an all-time high right now of the fan base, and you think the best course of action is to say nothing. That's just not what happens. That's not the way you do it, and it's not going to stop. It's only going to keep elevating and rising until you do something about it. So just say something. Give them something. I don't care if it's a lie. I don't care if it's true. I don't care if we make fun of it because of how cringy it is. But just do something in this time, because Razorback fans, they're not slowing down, and I don't know how they're going to recover from this, honestly, guys. I just don't know how it's going to happen.
I mean, look, I don't know what's worse, like the fact that, we're saying that we really don't know what Sam Pittman could say right now that would really appease fans, which is 100% valid, because, I mean, look, you got a very angry fan base. If he goes up there and says, well, I actually think we're going to have a great portal class, we're going to say, you're lying. And if he says, well, I really like our freshman class that's not ranked very high, we'd say, you're lying. I get that to an extent. But if you're in a position where, like, you are not capable of answering questions about your job, I feel like it speaks volumes to kind of where you're at and your capability of actually doing your job. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think if Hunter Yurachek had it his way, he would not be the athletic director at Arkansas right now. And I don't even think that's that bold of a take. I mean, every single open AD job in the country he's connected to, I feel like he's been almost openly trying to get them. And he didn't get the South Carolina job. And so here we are, where we're back to kind of, now he's kind of having to cower back to Arkansas. We'll see if he ever really says anything other than #win as one Razorback. I doubt it, but yeah, I mean, look, and again, it just kind of comes back to maybe we're all crazy. Maybe we're all being overly negative. Maybe we're all viewing this through a doomsday lens. Like I that's very possible. We're dramatic fans. We're passionate. We like to, create crazy narratives in our head. But then come out and correct the course if you're Hunter Yurachek. Come out and correct the course if you're Sam Pittman. And I feel like the fact that you passed up on a signing day press conference, which you do every year, the fact that you passed up on a bowl game press conference, which you do every year. Hell, I remember a couple years ago, I remember when they hired like 5 different, they had to replace pretty much the whole coaching staff. We had like 6 press conferences in the spring. We had to do a press conference with receivers coach, had to do a press conference with D-line coach, all these different things. Like, we're just getting the exact opposite now. And so if the fan base of Arkansas is having trouble talking themselves into Arkansas football, how the hell do you think players around the country are supposed to talk themselves into Arkansas football. Hell, you can't even get the players on your own team to talk themselves into Arkansas football. So look, y'all can, you can say that we're crazy and that we're just viewing this through a negative lens. I would love to be proven wrong. I'm just kind of waiting, and I don't see it going that way. And I fear the worst.
They've already missed their opportunity to do the signing day thing now, especially after all the stuff is circulating. People have been spitting out facts. The numbers don't lie, man. We talked about it yesterday. 86 signees in the last few years, 7 of them have become contributors. They're all leaving. They're not going to be like, and I hate that because you want to get excited for the kids. The kids who are signing at Arkansas want you to be excited about them. Yeah. That's the part of it that we don't talk about that much, but why would we be excited about that at this point when they literally all leave? They don't stay. They don't want to be here. Why is that the case? Who the heck knows? Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, no. And that's right. Cause it's getting to the point where everybody is just mad, and I get it. But like for me, for instance, talk about like negativity and everything. Hey, I'm not taking blame for me being negative. The U of A could have easily done something about this. Sam Pittman, whoever, the football program, they could have easily not made me this way. They could have easily not made me get to this point where I'm angry and I'm frustrated. And every single day, I'm just having to look at the notifications when I wake up in the morning or overnight and just see the amount of players that are entering into the portal and key contributors. Because guys, I was thinking about a question I asked, I think it was last week, maybe. Like, who's the most important player to keep in the transfer portal or whatever? We're getting to the point where all the important players are gone. We were at the point where any of them that you want to have back or really wanted to have back next season, they're gone. And so this could just be, it's just getting to a point where I just don't know what the reasoning is behind it. I don't understand why it's being handled this way. I don't understand why it's become this. And I don't understand why if you do come out and you say whatever, you're just almost beyond the course of action to where you can just go back and everything's going to be fine. I just don't see you can do that right now. I think you've really burned a lot of bridges with some fans, and it's going to take a lot to try to get them back on your side at all. They weren't even there really, but now they're pretty much done with you because it seems like you don't care about them. You were coming off like you do not care about the fans, and you don't care about their thoughts. You don't care about their concerns. I'm not talking about the trolls on Twitter that are, calling Sam Pittman names and his physical appearance. I'm talking about real legitimate fans that have concerns. You just act like you don't care because you don't want to talk, you don't want to say anything. And if you're going to be that way, that's the fans are going to be like, well, okay, we can play that game too. We're not going to care about you either. So everything's just really bad right now. It is.
I would love to know just what the plan is, if there is one. We're not that far removed. I know I guess we haven't really talked about NIL that much now, but I saw the clip getting recirculated earlier today where just a week or two ago, one of the things that Sam was up there saying was, hey, I don't think the portal is going to be as big of a deal for us this year because we have money now. Mm-hmm. Seems like a big deal to me. Maybe I'm crazy. So what happened? Or what is the plan? Is this part of the plan? I don't know how it could be to the rational mind. But when you're just left in the dark like this, all you can do is draw your own conclusions. I'm having a hard time drawing a good one here.
Well, and look, I know that there's a lot of people who have gone with this is the case everywhere. Everyone's doing that. And I'm talking to a small group of people. I know that. But you just look around the country, even teams that are in the playoff are recruiting the portal, are having guys in for visits from the portal. Hell, Ole Miss has Arkansas's entire roster in on a visit from the portal. Florida State's another team who's coming off of a horrible season. What'd they go, 2-10 or something like that? I see today they're about to land Boston College's quarterback. Gus Malzahn's already recruiting for them. I've seen a bunch of other high-level players that are being attached to all these other schools. And so it's I know that not the portal's been open for a day, so a lot of these announcements are probably going to come in later days, but I'm just seeing a lot of other teams that are generating positive momentum in the portal. And look, that generating positive momentum in the portal on December 10th isn't the goal of every program, but it would it would be a lot easier to stomach any of this kind of stuff if you were seeing some of those developments. But I'm just seeing Arkansas connected to a lot of guys that don't cost money is the way I would describe it. Which again, that's perfectly fine as long as you are going to eventually fill your roster with actual pieces that other teams want and things like that. But again, it's just it's really hard to have some optimism. So we're just kind of begging for anyone to give us some. I'll even say this: if you want us to talk about a little bit more of a lighter subject, I'd love to talk about the basketball game as well. But again, the U of A, I don't even think people realize. I don't even think this fan base right now knows that their basketball team is playing in Madison freaking Square Garden tonight against a top 15 team. Again, because we saw a picture of them getting on the plane or whatever, but like, we haven't gotten a press conference. We didn't get to talk to any of the players. There hasn't been like any type of promotion from the University of Arkansas. Again, it's just one of those things that fans are kind of left right now to jump to their own conclusions to figure out what they want to figure out. And it sucks that they're in that position that like, and we're even in a tough position where we're just having to recycle and have these same conversations because the University of Arkansas doesn't give us anything either. And so it's like, again, we just keep coming back to that divide. And I think, when we were talking about that 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, this is the most divided it's ever been. 2 weeks later, I'm like, wow, it's even worse. Like there's more of a divide coming between the University of Arkansas and the fan base. And so it's going to take something drastic to turn it around. And frankly, it's going to take a great leader to turn this around. Does Arkansas have one of those in place right now? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and we'll get to your question of the day presented by Alumni Hall in a second, because I know we'll also get to the chat, folks. Don't worry, because we'll have some phone calls to get to. We'll try to get to all your reactions as best as we can throughout the show, as well as some other topics too. But at least the final thing I wanted to say on this with Hunter Yurachek, especially, and Sam Pittman, whoever it is, I do not. If this is all going to stay status quo, I do not and will not accept any quotes, any comments, anything like that, criticizing how negative things are, how bad everything is, or the media doing this or whatever. I don't want to hear it because I felt like there were times that Sam Pittman has said stuff about that, like, oh, I'm trying to recruit, it's negative out there, blah blah blah. Y'all have done this to yourselves. No one was burying you, but you handed people the shovel. Like, you have done this to yourselves. So I don't want to hear about any sort of like negativity hurting the program or anything. This is on you. This ain't on the fans. This ain't on the media. This ain't on anybody else. This is on you. You got to take responsibility and you got to fix it. Plain and simple. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get to your Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall. All the great Razorback apparel. Don't enter in the transfer portal in yet, folks, because you still get to get some of that great gear over at Alumni Hall for Christmas and the holiday season. And they got plenty of it for all ages, for men, women, kids. The nicest of things. Head over to Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. You can also shop them online at alumnihall.com. Very simple, straightforward, to the point. How concerned are you with the current state of the Razorback football program? Very concerned, pretty concerned, slightly concerned, and not concerned are your options. 70% say very concerned, and that's with over 1,000 votes, so you know it's legit. But 70% of you say very concerned. 20% of you say pretty concerned. So you're talking about 90% of Razorback fans are either pretty or very concerned about the current state of the Razorback football program. If that doesn't tell you at all right there.
Can't blame them for feeling that way. And if that's not reality, it's nobody's fault for feeling that way. This is the environment that has been created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, again, this is kind of the poll question I referenced earlier, where I was like, I saw this and I was like, oh wow, people really do. They are more concerned than I think I let on. Which again, I'm openly apologizing. Like, I was taking it out on the people that I saw that were tweeting at me, because a lot of the people who are concerned just aren't saying that, because why would you? And so yeah, I feel like for every time I tweet something out, my replies are just filled with people who are like, this football team's awesome, shut up. And so I'm kind of responding to that. But yeah, I think the poll, I expected there to be a lot of people who were concerned, but I didn't expect it to be that overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the negativity though, it's all the fans and everything. Come on now. But I get it. I when I put out that question, I even thought about having not concerned being not even an option because it felt like it was that case. But I will say 6% say not concerned at all, which That must be like Missouri fans and Kentucky fans or something like that are voting into that.
That's Lane Kiffin who voted that.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin
Like,
must
I
have
love the
retweeted
director
me.
of the Arkansas football program right now.
Yeah, he must have retweeted me there. That is still absurd. He deleted the retweet, but that was something. And you know what? I guarantee you he did on purpose. We're tweeting it and then retweeting or then unretweeting it, so that way someone asked me, "Oh no, it was an accident. I just somebody here did it, an intern, whatever." But he knows, and it's a great tweet because it feels really true that Arkansas has become the farm system for Ole Miss football right now.
It is true. I mean, it's hard to deny. I mean, how many guys do they have visiting? Who all was on that visit list? So Nico, Luke has, Kudus. Is that it for now?
I feel like there was another one, right?
So at least 3, and maybe more by the time it's all. Is Braxton on that list?
Braxton was another one that's visiting Ole Miss.
So there you go. So chances are they're going to get at least one of those guys. I mean, I'll tell you right now, they are going to get at least one of those guys, but maybe more. And so, yeah, I mean, you're poaching one of Arkansas's best or better players every year. Then yeah, that's kind of how it works with the farm system, man. AAA, just call them up.
Well, and also if you're Pooh Paul, who again got a fat bag to go to Ole Miss last year and turned into one of the best linebackers in the country, was a finalist for the Buckus Award, you're probably texting your teammates who are now entering the portal and you're like, hey, worked out really well for me going to Ole Miss. Like, again, like these players talk, these players aren't dumb. These players are looking around the country and seeing which programs are trending which way and which programs are the cool places to go right now. And even Ole Miss, like we want to make fun of them for spending $20 million and not making the playoff. They're shaping up to have another damn good portal class. I mean, Kudus is the number 3 player in the portal. He's projected to go there. I saw the number 1 player in the portal got a Cristobal to go there as well. They've got another, like the top O lineman in the portal, interior offensive lineman is projected to go there. Like who knows if they're going to have to spend $20 million again, but once again, hashtag transfer to the SIP is the cool thing to do. And like, again, I'm not saying that like it's not just an Ole Miss thing. I'm just looking around the country and seeing a bunch of other schools. Hell, A&M is going to have another damn good portal class as well. Like it's really hard to justify, and it just sucks that Arkansas is not in any of these conversations as like the cool place to go.
It's nothing cool about Arkansas right now. I want cool stuff to come back. I want cool, fun things to come back, but just not there right now. It's just not there right now.
I want that. I mean, Muss had that going for a while with the portal.
Yeah.
How much fun was that? I mean, people went nuts over that stuff. Arkansas can be the cool place. It has been in the past. It just ain't right now.
And again, going back to the point of like, oh, well, the people that are just like, oh, well, this is just the world we live in. Everyone has to replace their whole roster every year. I mean, John, you know this personally. Like, people come for the Arkansas baseball team. You think LSU didn't make a phone call to Hagen Smith? He told him to shove it. You think LSU didn't make a phone call to Peyton Stovall? He told him to shove it. You think Ole Miss didn't make a phone call to Kendall Diggs? He told him to shove it. I'm not saying, again, I understand the price tags are different in baseball and basketball and football and all that. But it's like, you look at Arkansas's basketball and baseball program, they don't have a problem retaining their top talent. Hell, they also don't have a problem poaching other talent. Arkansas is the school that poaches teams in baseball. They're the school that they were poaching from Kentucky. Now, obviously, hiring their freaking head coach helped. But it's like, you remember whenever Arkansas hired Cal and we just knew it was a foregone conclusion you were going to get the entire Kentucky recruiting class to come with them? That wasn't even a conversation we had to have because we were just like, oh, yeah, Arkansas is going to be able to get those kids. Oh, yeah, they're in the mix for this top guy. Of course they're going to get him. Like, we knew Arkansas was going to have a chance to get Nelly Davis, who was the number 1 transfer in the country. With football, you can't even have that. You can't even try and pretend to have that conversation of like, hey, maybe Arkansas could get the best transfer in the country. Instead, Arkansas has the number 3 transfer in the country, and he's going to Ole Miss.
Yep. They're going everywhere but you. In fact, everybody else has a champagne room, and you're just stuck. And you're kind of like the party that's outside of the club that everyone's hanging out at. Yeah, there's people there, but no one wants to be there. They want to get into the club. That's where they're trying to get to. That's how it feels right now for Razorback fans. Oh man, we got a lot of chats, a lot of phone calls, folks. We'll try to work through them all because we got a lot to talk about today. Appreciate some of the super chats coming in. Like Angel says, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Hey, thanks, Angel.
Angel, you do a great job too, man. I appreciate your just consistency. I really appreciate your just tapping in with us. We that stuff is not lost on us, man. I hope you know that. Like, we really appreciate that.
Yeah. And the AI avatars that people use are really just getting to me sometimes.
That one's fire though.
That was wild, yeah. Evan says, I have been very supportive of Pittman this year. We know he's an excellent human, but he is not equipped to handle the new landscape of college football. Well, appreciate your super chat. And yeah, I'm at that point too, where I just don't know if he's fit for the NIL era. And some people aren't, and that's fine. But man, there's been no evidence really pointing towards, hey, this is fine, all's fine. You're doing the things that you're supposed to do to win.
Yeah, it would be a very much a tiger changing its stripes situation if that happened. So.
Also, shout out Evan, because he's been one of the more positive ones. Like, he's been kind of like trying to keep the optimism for as long as he can, and I think he's finally like, oh shit, this sucks.
Dude, I need to listen to Rick Schaefer, man. If he starts going negative, then things are really bad if he's on drive time going crazy like that. Also, shout out to our guy Hayden, says 66 days until baseball. So
that is true.
Yeah. You still got basketball going on, Hayden. You know, there's still some hope there. Got a big game tonight.
You know how you were saying it was like 90 something, like 96 days till Selection Sunday. That number seems smaller than you kind of thought. 66 seems a lot smaller than I'm like, oh, holy cow, baseball season next week.
Sneaks up on you, man.
Yeah, just a couple months away in that regard. And also, Aiden just says, teams taking our players like it's an estate sale. Yep, they are. And
good analogy.
Yep, and you're just got to take it. You just got to sit there and you got to take it. And that's the unfortunate thing about it. Let's see a few other chats real quick, because we'll go to the phone lines too and try to work through all of those. Again, folks, for those of you who are tuning in with us, we appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be live every day with Inside Arkansas Live at noon. And a lot of your chats, we don't see them all because there's so many. So just bear with us if we don't get to it. Either be patient or throw a super chat, because it lights up a different color, and we always see that. I'm not asking for money, just saying it's easier to see when it's a different color. All right, it gets highlighted. That's
not
it.
Promoting it, but
yeah, I ain't promoting it now.
If you want us to talk to you,
yeah, just pay to play, if you will, here on the show. But then Ben just comes in and says, "Is it too late to fire Hunter Yurachek and Sam Pittman? They are unquestionably the reason the program is dead." Well, I mean there's never too late for anything.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it's gonna happen, but.
I don't want to do this conversation where like every day on the show we're like, they should fire Pittman. Like, I don't want to be that guy. But I mean, I would love for someone to tell me why it is too late. Because what is it that you have to lose? Is it your great signing class that you just brought in? Is it your great portal class you've put together? Is it the great talent on your roster? Like, what is it? I guess it's your coordinators truly is the answer there. Like, you would have to hire an entire new coaching staff, which 100% is fair. But like, I want someone with a real brain to tell me why it is too late to fire Yurachek or Pittman.
Yeah. And I like the thought there with the coordinators. Then at the same time, we look at it now and it's like all the good players are transferring away from said coordinators for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. And the coordinators are also looking for other jobs. So
everything's bad. Is no one wants to be here. And the only people that want to be here are the people that no one wants here. It's just all backwards. Yeah, exactly. Just all backwards. Appreciate the super chat. Spectre Streams, you're one of the kind ones in there that's always hitting us up there. But he says, did y'all see the tweet where someone was talking about how it feels like Hunter Yurachek and Sam Pittman are sabotaging football? And then Trey Biddy said it feels the same way. Curious y'all's thoughts on that. I did see that tweet. And yeah, I get it, because it goes back to the whole thing. You're not saying anything. Only bad things are happening. So when bad things are happening and you're not saying anything and addressing it, guess what people are going to do? They're going to feel that their own theories, or they're going to start connecting their own dots and saying, well, if we're not going to hear anything, this is what it's got to be. And sabotaging the program is one of those theories that people are going to have, because you're not talking to anybody about anything.
Yeah, I did see this. I guess it was on the message board. Someone tweeted a screenshot and someone was like, yeah, it seems like they're sabotaging. And look, are they sabotaging? I doubt that. I definitely doubt that Sam Pittman is sabotaging the football program. But I don't think Yurachek is either, but I also don't think Yurachek gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to like hurt his heart if Arkansas's program falls apart right before he gets fired. You know what I mean? Or before he finds another job. Like, I definitely don't think he's losing too much sleep over it.
No, I don't think so either. All right, we'll try to work through these phone calls quickly, folks. Let's get to Ryan, who's in Paragould. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going good, man.
Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I wanted to comment yesterday. Your question of the day was about a change that you would like to, or would we like to change anything about the portal?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the portal has become free agency, and in the NFL, teams have protections in free agency. There's no such thing in college football. So when can we start expecting some protections for the team for losing players? I don't know what you do because players aren't drafted. But players can leave willy-nilly with no consequence. I think you should get one transfer. There shouldn't be this multiple transfer, stuff. Two of your Heisman finalists this year are on their third team. Their third team, and they've not missed a single year of football. Explain that to me. You can't make that make sense. Maybe it's not hurting yet, but to me, I don't see how people feel the same way about it if this kind of thing continues. And maybe it's sour grapes because we're losing so much this year. But yeah. I don't understand how you keep continuity with the program when you lose 75% of it, every year.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate the phone call, Ryan. Because I know a lot of people feel that same way. There's going to be some sort of correction to it, whether it's actually having full-fledged contracts or whatever. It's just not right now. But I think that everybody understands that there's a problem with that. It's going to work towards that. I just don't know when it's going to happen, when that part of it will be fixed.
I'm sure they'll start to try to get a wrangle on this thing as the revenue sharing becomes a thing, which I guess is, I was trying to read that stuff that they put out yesterday. Like maybe that's in the summer where they're trying to get the final approval for that and then move forward with it. I think that's going to change a lot of things. You mentioned contracts. That's probably something that, and something that needs to happen. Yeah. I'm all for, guys getting paid for whatever. I don't care. Good for them. More power to them. But guys in the NFL get paid. They got contracts, man. Like there's got to be some stipulations, some guidelines, some regulations. I don't get paid to determine what those are going to be, but they definitely have to do something. And a lot of people feel the way that Ryan does about just it changes your fandom. It changes the way that you watch this stuff. You view it because it's just become so transactional. There's no personal connection to it anymore. That's not just at Arkansas. That's everywhere. They rushed into this. The NIL transfer portal combo, doing that at the same time, wild, wild west with no rules, regulations, or guidelines, or anybody to consult you on it, was a bad idea. And we're seeing it play out in real time now, how it can be really, really good for some programs who embrace it and are proactive instead of reactive. And then you can see the opposite of that, which is kind of what Arkansas is dealing with right now.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said, and I thought Ryan did a pretty good job articulating kind of his point of view and how this whole era changes the way that we view college sports. And I will just say, just to touch on his sour grapes comment, it definitely is that way this particular offseason. Now, again, there still needs to be changes. All that's still true. But like I look around the SEC, more than half of the SEC teams at this point have single-digit transfers, and a lot of them have like 3, 4, 5, 6. Which again, that's what you had in a normal year. Like, and obviously that number's going to grow. All these numbers are going to grow up. But it's like, if Arkansas hadn't lost 23 players, it would be having if it were 7 total rather than 7 starters, it would be a little bit of a different conversation. Because I just look around. Florida went 7-5 this year. Their coach was on the hot seat all year. So for the idea of like, oh, well, the media is creating this thing and it's hurting us in recruiting. Florida only has 5 guys in the portal right now. 5. And that was a program that 6 weeks ago looked like it was a dumpster fire. And so it's like the idea, it's really like, it sucks because Arkansas is in this position, but I do think there's a lot of teams, to Curtis's point, that are thriving in this new situation, that are finding ways to be productive and finding ways to still build a real culture and have a real atmosphere and have a nice relationship with their fan base who helps them get some of these players. Arkansas is just not one of those teams in one of those programs.
Nope, they aren't right now. And also, too, to that point where, it's kind of like reminded me of when Nick Saban was so anti-hurry up, no huddle offense. Remember, he was just like, oh, this is bad for the game and blah, blah. No, what it was is that he was losing and it wasn't fun. And so guess what? He adapted and changed. That's the deal. If Arkansas, as you said, was killing it in the portal, NIL flowing, players coming in like crazy, everybody like, man, it's just great. Yeah, let's get excited about it. But it's only a problem when you are the ones that are being left behind. That's when it becomes a problem. All right, just 2 more calls real quick, folks, because I know we're going to move on to some other things as well as get back to the chat. Let's go to Grant, Brent, who's in Searcy. What's up, Brent?
What's up? What's up, John? What's up, Andrew? What's up, Curtis?
What's going
What's up,
on?
man?
I've got two questions, and one's about your show. I want to know how can you do you text in? How do you text into your show, or do you X into your show? How do you do it?
Well, if you're watching our show on YouTube or on Twitch, apparently, which is big, Facebook, anything like that, you just comment on the live stream and do that, and we'll see your message that way.
Oh, just go to the live stream and hit comment, or how do you do it?
Yeah,
That's
it's up there. You just go into the chat box and hit whatever you want to say in the chat.
Oh, okay, great. And here's my next. Hey, John, no doubt what Hunter Yurchek is going to do. He's going to offer the people. He's going to offer you $50 off your season football tickets. And you know what that amounts to? Nothing when you have touchdown club seating. Nothing when you have a whole bunch of them. First off, how can a head coach be when he's got an athletic director that is so quiet? I mean, how can Sam Pittman feel good about his situation when the athletic director just says nothing? Nothing. He's not offering Coach Pittman any support. We have got Hunter Yurchek needs to get on that job at TCU immediately, if not sooner, because we hear him for every job, and you know what? People have figured out who's game. He's lived off being athletic director of the year way too many more years. Sam Pittman needs a new athletic director to try to help him. He does. And I'm a frustrated Razorback fan.
Well, I can tell, Brent, definitely, and you're not the only one. We appreciate your phone calls always, though, my man. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think it's a combo deal, guys. If Hunter Yurchek leaves, Sam Pittman's gone. And an athletic director is not going to come in and be like, oh, yeah, I get this football coach that I didn't hire, and he might do a good job or whatever. They're going to want to get their guy. So it could very easily go like that. But I get what you're saying, but I just don't see that being the case. And finally, we'll have one more phone call here because, again, I know we got to continue to move through it and to move on through it with, I guess this is Michael, who's in Cave Springs. What's up, Michael?
Hey, guys. I really enjoy your program. I try to listen every day.
Thanks.
Quick call. I share the same concern that everybody else has on the program. But what if, like, from an optimistic view, what if this is Petrino's way of rebuilding the offense? You know, that obviously we have some departures, but Taylor Green comes back. I think as Curtis would quoted out all the good stats last week from Taylor Green, like the jump that he made and the jump that potentially he could make. We know that Andrew Armstrong was leading SEC receiver. You know, that's something we could look in the portal, get some type of prototype, and then potentially run, you know, maybe some sort of wide open offense next year. So I think the story is incomplete and it's easy to kind of be negative, but you know, perhaps just this is one way of Petrino running his offense.
You're right that the story is, I mean, it's absolutely incomplete, and they are going to go get guys. I mean, they are, and they'll bring in players who are good. I think the concern about that is a big part of the sell was year 2 in Petrino's system. And the only way that can be a thing is if you have guys who are part of year 1, right? And so many of those dudes are leaving. So like getting your quarterback, that will help. But if he's got to build rapport with an entirely new group of receivers, which he will at this point, then does that kind of slow down the growth process there? Same thing with, the offensive line. Last year this past season, they had to go out into the transfer portal and revamp that entire thing. Everybody, it's just widely known that going out and building an O-line through the transfer portal is not a pathway to success. And so it was like, okay, well, maybe year 2 of that continuity with those guys, then you can start to see some improvements and his offense can really start to click. Well, now they're not going to be able to do that. They got to go rebuild the thing again. And so the year 2 aspect of it is taken away from me. And listen, I'm all for Bobby Petrino, the genius, the wizard, the guru, whatever you want to call him. If the plan is to lose, 90% of your productive players off the offense and improve it the next season, hey, if he can do that, he's a bad man. We're not giving him enough credit. I guess that's what I'll say.
100%. You know, Curtis, you said the story's incomplete. Like 100%. Like we will gladly let this play out. Because I mean, what else are we going to do? I mean, we're not just going to stop doing our show. We'll
Sure.
see. I mean, we'll look back in February and we'll kind of see what they've put together, and we'll we'll go into spring ball and give it a chance. The only problem I have is that it's going to be, and this is objective, it's going to be a less talented roster and a less talented offense. I mean, you lose 2 potential NFL guys in Kudus and Has. You lose an NFL guy in Andrew Armstrong, another potential NFL running back, Jaquan Jackson. Will they go out and get different pieces to replace those guys? 100%. But just look at the guys that they're in the mix for. Look at the guys that are visiting. Look at the guys that they're in that they're in the list of. It's not future NFL guys. It's guys that, you know, other like Ole Misses and Florida States of the world don't want, is what it is. So, you know, I think that the kid from Fresno State, I think that's a cool story. He played for Bobby at Missouri State. He went to Fresno State, proved he could play at the FBS level. I think he's a productive piece that'll help. But is he going to replace Andrew Armstrong? Hell no. He maybe could replace Isaiah Satania. And look, they're in the mix for a couple of running backs that I think are actually pretty promising pieces. Probably still a little bit of a step down from Jaquan Jackson. And I think that, you know, Curtis, you touched on the O-line. Like, it's going to be really hard to go out there and makeshift an O-line and have it be improved from what was an O-line that really wasn't even that good last year. And so now, again, talent doesn't always equal wins. So I'm not saying Bobby Petrino can't, you know, make more. He might have a better offense with less talent, but it's objectively going to be a less talented roster. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I don't see any way, shape, or form that anybody could say that it's going to be just as good, if not better.
Well,
there's just zero chance of it.
Yeah, I mean the pathway to do, like, you have to have money to do that, and
Lots of it.
right, and so you know, again, we're getting the silent treatment right now, so we don't know what the plan is. But when you look at it, I mean, there's no way around it. You look at several of these guys who are hitting the portal. There's no way that the staff was just looking at it going, yeah, we don't want that guy back. Yeah, we don't need him, whatever. And so they either left because they were over it and they wanted a fresh start, or they wanted more money and they didn't get it. All right. And so then we're supposed to believe that they're just supposed to have all these funds to go out and upgrade all of a sudden. I don't know.
I mean, just look at where these guys are going. Other SEC schools. I heard Luke is going to 3. He's visiting 3 SEC schools this week. All the guys that are leaving you are going to other SEC schools, and the guys you're bringing in are not coming from SEC schools. Although we'll see if they're able to get one of those Bama receivers who, you know, didn't really play a ton at Bama. If you're getting an SEC guy, it's a guy that didn't play in the SEC. So again, it just comes back to, it's definitely going to be a less talented roster. And so, you know, we'll see. And again, less talent doesn't necessarily mean that Petrino's not going to be able to make it work. Because on paper, some of the rosters that Arkansas had back in 08, 09, 2010, on paper, they weren't like the most loaded rosters of all time, but, you know, they put up a lot of money, or a lot of production.
All right, I said that was the last call. We got one more because this says somebody that I don't believe has called him before. Maybe they have, but either way, I wanted to get to him because he's been patiently holding. This is George in Texas. What's up, George?
I'm 78 years old now. I've been watching the Razorbacks since the 60s because I was born and raised in Little Rock, and I moved to Texas in 74. But I'll tell you what, as far as the Pittman era, I'm totally disgusted with it. I mean, the team this year, I mean, they were just embarrassing a lot of times. And I don't see that anything's going to change as long as Pittman is there. I just don't see it. And look how many good players they've already lost the transfer portal and then just opened up a day ago. And I expect another mass exodus. And the people they'll be bringing in are not going to be anywhere near as good. I mean, who in the right mind is going to want to transfer to Arkansas after this year, you know?
Yeah.
And I tell you, I'm really at the point right now that I'm seriously considering not even being a Razorback fan anymore after all these years, because I've seen it all and I see where it's headed now, and I don't see that anything is going to change in the near future. I really don't. It would take a miracle, and I don't think that's going to happen. they will probably be even worse next year, if anything else, because of the schedule. So, like I say, I've just about had it with the whole situation. And also, one thing I don't understand is, the NIL money. I mean, if you look at this from an economic point of view, I mean, Arkansas is a very poor state and has been for a long time. And, but then you look at Mississippi, which is just as bad, but yet they're able to come up with all this NIL money. And Louisiana the same way. I mean, I don't understand that at all. I don't understand how those states can come up with that kind of NIL money, but Arkansas can't.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. So George, what you're asking about, that's a great question. It is why I've always pushed back on people who will say, you can't fire Sam Pittman. He's only losing because of the NIL money. Because look at Mississippi State, a program that, their head coach died. A little bit different situation. But they had a new coach come in year one. And in the middle of a 2-10 season, they get an $8 million anonymous donation. I'm assuming from, some rich alumni or group alumni, whatever. I don't know where it came from. But again, a lot of these programs find money. When you have excitement, when you have something to get behind, money just pops up. I mean, Coach Calipari, Arkansas basketball was considered, they were frustrated with their NIL situation. All of a sudden, they have money. Now that they have a new direction, now they have something to get behind. Lane Kiffin has obviously done that at Ole Miss. LSU is a little bit different because they're kind of actually struggling a little bit there. But Missouri, same thing. All these states and these programs that hypothetically shouldn't have a ton of money have money. And so, it is just crazy that Arkansas hasn't found a way to really make a wave in this world, at least from the football perspective. Because again, basketball and baseball, they're finding a way to do it. It is just kind of it's wild.
Well, I'll say this real quick, George, because before I let you get out of here, hey, you're 78 years old. That's awesome, and we appreciate you listening in and tuning in with us and everything, man. But don't let go. Just continue to be a Razorback, man. You've come this far. Don't give that up. That's all I can ask of you. Just give it some time, man. Can I do that for me?
Yeah, I'll try. I'm going to try to keep up with the portal.
Hey, you've got a baseball national championship coming, so just keep that in mind.
That's all there is going on. Any hope right now is going to have to come from the portal.
Yeah. No,
I could understand players are leaving if they really weren't all that great to begin with, but that's not the case here. No. I mean, these are all top guys that have left.
Yeah.
And another thing, I heard I can't remember when, not too long ago. What's the situation? I heard these two players coming from California, a quarterback, a 4-star quarterback, and wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard any mention of them ever since. I've only heard it that one time. Is that still going to happen or what?
Allegedly, yeah. As far as we know, George, and that was big news on signing day last week. But we still have been unable to talk to the head football coach about his signing class, and so that's been kind of the tricky part about this is he hasn't been able to weigh in on it, or hasn't wanted to weigh in on it, or whatever is not going to weigh in on it. I don't know. So any shine or luster that was on that has dissipated, and so there you have it. But yes, that is and was a thing.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, George, we appreciate you calling in, man, and appreciate everybody calling in. And know we got to continue to move on, but we did want to pass this along to. All right, so we're talking about Braylen Russell.
I see we got some news, huh?
Got some news because Hayes Fawcett, who of course is on Avon 3, one of the guys that knows what he's talking about, says Arkansas true freshman running back Braylen Russell plans to enter into the transfer portal. So there you have it. He's going into the portal.
He tells me, by the way, is what was said there. So whatever he told Mason, he told Hayes Fawcett something else, but he has already reposted, Braylen Russell has on his Instagram, the transfer portal announcement. So yeah. What it sounds like to me is Mason did the right thing by reaching out and asking him. And he either just flat out said, nah, that's BS. Or he said, no, I'm not in the portal, as he was going through the process of doing the paperwork. Or so. There's semantics involved, So like Mason Choate did not lie and say that Braylen Russell told him he wasn't entering the portal. If he got bad information from the source, that's on the source, not him. So don't beat him up for that. But there you have it. And so now Quinn Jackson out of here, Braylen Russell out of here. Arkansas's running back room is Rashad DeBinion, Rodney Hill, Tyrell Reed.
John, do you remember a couple weeks? I guess it was maybe like 5 days ago. You asked a question. You were like, which offensive player would you really want to keep? And like Kudus was an option, Has was an option, Russell was an option, and maybe even Satania. I can't remember what day it was, but literally all of those guys entering the offseason outside of Taylon Green, which of course Arkansas still does for the moment have their quarterback in Taylon Green. You also have Fernando Carmona, your left tackle, and your starting center, Addison Nichols. Outside of that, Arkansas literally does not have anything returning for their offense next year. Now, again, it really, in my opinion, doesn't change the equation all that much from what we kind of were already operating with, because Braylen Russell played and had some moments, but also wasn't like a feature back in the offense anyway. They've already been in contact with multiple transfer running backs, so I think they were planning on trying to go get a legit bona fide RB1 anyway. But again, it just sucks that kids from the state of Arkansas, you can't keep them either. I mean, a guy that was a 4-star recruit from Benton, and that guys that you really would claim that you want to build this thing around. Hell, Sam Pittman himself, the last time we got to hear from him in a press conference setting, said Braylen would be a guy that we would like to build around for next year. He said that exactly. So, I mean, we'll see if people are able to kind of spin this into a positive somehow, but I think it sucks.
Yeah, it does. I was trying to think of my, I think it was Jalen Braxton, Luke Has, and I need to go back, but I think the other one was Patrick Kudus. But to your point, yeah, it's they're not there anymore.
At what point does, and I understand he might not, hell, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there, man. So he probably wouldn't have a ton of options anyway. But at what point, if you're Taylon Green, are you looking at all this going,
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to bring this up too. Mason Choate of Hogbeat, he posted the screenshot of the conversation. And I'm going to read it to you guys verbatim. I don't really want to put it up because it'll take too much time. But he just DM'd Braylen, said, Braylen, can you confirm you plan to enter into the transfer portal? Braylen responds with, no, I'm not. Mason responds with, so I'm good to report that you do not plan to enter into the transfer portal. Braylen says, yeah, you can. That was at 10:30 this morning.
Good on Mason, dude.
Good on Mason. I'm glad he did that.
I texted him earlier, and I actually was like, hey, looks like you're in a source off or whatever, kind of joking. And he was like, look, I've got receipts. And like, I understand that he very much could have lied to me, but he's like, look, I got my receipts. Like, it is what it is. And good on him for posting that. Cause I know a lot of people, whenever Mason reported what he did, a lot of people were like, oh, Trey Biddy's an idiot. Trey Biddy's a liar. Trey Biddy's what, all this. And now those people obviously are wrong. And now I know people are going to do the same with Mason, going to try and flip it and be like, oh, see, Mason's an idiot. Neither of those guys lied. Like, I think they both went about getting their information in very real ways. Yep. And it looks, I don't know if Braylen had a change of heart this afternoon. And he's one, by the way, let's talk about Braylen Russell for a second. Dating back to his recruitment, I remember there being a lot of conversations. He was on like strong decommit watch because I think, people in his camp kind of wanted other things. And he was one of those kids that like seemed like he was always changing his mind as a high school recruit. He tweets out mid-year that he wants an agent after his first big moment against Tennessee. Yep. He had a weird situation with the coaching staff where he was hurt. Maybe he wasn't. He was saying, hey, they're lying. I'm actually healthy. And then
right after Sam Pittman said he was injured. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, there's always been conflicting sources involving Braylen Russell. So it shouldn't come as any shock to anyone that he's entering the portal, but also that there's all this weird, he said, she said, he's lying, I'm lying, you're a liar, like all this weird stuff going on with his transfer announcement as well. And ultimately, like, in the world we live in, you shouldn't be stunned when anyone transfers. But with this particular situation, this should not come as a super surprise that the kid that has always maybe been 1 foot in, 1 foot out has decided to be 2 feet out.
Yeah. And I just feel bad because it's, again, like Mason didn't do anything wrong. He did his job and all of that. But I just don't understand. Like, what are you doing, Braylen? Like, why? Why would you do that?
Just don't respond.
Yeah, just don't respond. Or, if you're going to respond, just do it after the fact when it's already official or whatever it is. But, because like you said, Curtis, before we saw the DM, was it something like, oh, I'm not in it right now, but, making it to where he's playing on. No, he flat up asked him, you don't plan to enter into the portal. He's like, no, I don't plan to enter in.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up.
And
That's
told him
messed
he
up.
could report it.
Yeah.
Basically knowing that he was going to make him look like an idiot in 2 hours. That's some real slimeball shit.
Mhm.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. So, man.
What is going on over there?
Dude, I'm telling you. See, I know you guys know, but I always jokingly around this time every morning tweet out, today is going to be an insane day, because, some people don't get it, but I mainly do it because there's always going to be nonsense. This has been nonsense. Absolute, like, clown shoes, Joker stuff, like, just wild.
Bro, it's not even just key players leaving. It's the way it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, man. That's just,
I can't.
this is not happening everywhere else.
No, we're past that point too. That's another thing I'm glad about. We're past these points of like, oh, well, maybe it's this or hey, this. No. It's past all of that. And I think people are starting to finally realize, yeah, this is actually bad. This is actually bad all around.
This is crazy, man.
I would listen. I really, I'm being dead serious. Like, I grew up a freaking hog fan. I used to have a hog nose, a hog hat, all that stuff. I really do hope in April we're looking back at all this and we're like, man, that was a wild off season, but they got the right team. They got the right guys in place, and I'm excited about the season. I just don't think I'm going to get there. I would love for it to flip the other way, and then it becomes when those Inside Arkansas guys were freaking out and blah, blah, blah. I would love for that to happen. I need someone to tell me that it's going to happen. I would even settle for Sam Pittman coming out in line and saying it's going to happen. I would settle for that, but I just need to know the case for why this isn't a shit show.
No, there is no reason as to why it is, because we're seeing the proof. We're seeing the evidence of it.
I'm never going to forget this day.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, this is Arkansas's had some crazy stuff. Obviously, Bobby Petrino motorcycle accidents, and then you throw in the, Alex Collins' mom stealing signing papers. Like, they've had some weird stuff, but this is one where there's nothing. It's ongoing. It's not just a one-time thing, and it's constant. And it's been a week, and we're just kind of still sitting here floating in the wind and just being like, all right, so what other disaster is going to happen today? What it is? It's like the Dallas Cowboys last night and the way they lost that game. That was an incredible way to lose a game. And that's how Arkansas is right now. They find incredible ways to lose players out of the transfer portal. Like, they're finding new and unique and original ways to do so. So, man, this is fun, but in all the wrong reasons, but it's still fun. It's fun I'm laughing about it. I'm having a giggle about it. I'm at that point right now. I'm sorry, fans, if you're not, but
I don't know. I don't know what else to do besides laugh at it. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, like this is one, like I said, I really don't think that like Russell's exit really changes like my view of the entire program or anything. It's just the way it played out is so funny. And this is actually one where like everyone's done he's replaceable defense. I actually think Braylen Russell is kind of replaceable, but it is just, it can, like, again, like you said, they find new ways to do it. And, but this happens at every team's backup running back as a freshman lies to reporters and then ends up entering the portal. This happens everywhere.
Oh man, this is I'll tell you this, guys. I got 2 hours of sleep last night because my dog started just howling at the moon or something. I don't know. I'm trying to decide if it's really that funny or if I'm just delirious. But I think it might be more that it's that funny. It's just that comical at this point.
I think Andrew might be the closest to well rested today.
Yes,
at least
probably.
he's laughing too.
Good.
It's comical. It's
good. Yeah, I don't know how much. I think people even in the chat are starting to laugh a little bit and have a giggle with it. But man, but again, folks, we're going to keep you updated here at Inside Arkansas for everything and anything that happens. So if something, I know it's probably hard to believe, but if something else bad happens, missing out on a player, then we're going to go live. Right then and there. So just keep it here. Subscribe to us here. Like this video, like the channel, because we're going to have it each and every time. And I know also for tonight, there's a basketball game, folks. There is a basketball game, a very important basketball game. We'll use that as part of our Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Arkansas, Michigan, happening tonight. Madison Square Garden. It's going to be at 8 p.m. ESPN. Hey, when the schedule finally got released, or at least when they were leaking the non-conference opponents, this one was the one everybody circled and was like, that's it right there. I know a lot of Razorback fans that have made the trip. Obviously, Curtis currently is in New York. He's going to be at the game tonight. So, Curtis, what's the vibes like in the Big Apple and up there in the Northeast?
I think there's going to be a better turnout for Razorback fans than there was on Thanksgiving, understandably Thanksgiving Day, but in Kansas City, right up the road. Michelle flew up here a couple days ago. She had a bunch of Razorback fans on her flight. My flight was packed with Razorback fans, and you're seeing people on social media all over the place making, extended weekends. Maybe they came up here on Friday or Saturday and taking in all the sights and everything. It's going to be awesome, man. I think it's going to be a good atmosphere. I expect Michigan will travel pretty well. It's not nearly as far. And hey, I mean, it's John Calipari's underachieving Razorbacks against Dusty May's overachieving Wolverines. But maybe the regression to the mean thing will play into account tonight, and Arkansas will finally look the part under the brightest lights that there are. I mean, it's Madison Square Garden, man. It literally gets no better than that for a basketball game at any level, anywhere in the world. It's going to be special. I'm looking forward to it. Really, really do hope and think Arkansas needs to come out there and show well from whether they win or not. They need to come out there and ball out. They got to play well.
Yeah, I don't think this is a must win, but I think the stage is kind of set, like you said. And I mean, and quite the stage it is. It is set for Arkansas to kind of issue a statement of, we're okay. We're trending in the right direction. Everybody that's been getting your jokes, fun's over now. We beat a top 15 Michigan team. We're headed the right direction. Or even to your point, like you just have a really competitive game where both teams come out of it looking good. Because we all kind of know as fans when your team shows up or when they don't. But you mentioned the kind of regression to the mean aspect. As a gambler, that's always what I'm looking for. When one team's overachieving, one team's underachieving. So my gambling, if I weren't an Arkansas guy, I probably would be circling Arkansas here. I mean, like I like them. Plus 155 for Arkansas, according to Bet Saracen, and they are 4-point underdogs. Do you, Curtis? Do you think that's fair, or do you feel like when you see that, like, what is your reaction?
I mean, maybe a little steep, but I'm not offended by Michigan being favored right now. I mean, I feel like they probably should be based on the way they are playing, and the way Arkansas has been playing, and the way that they've looked in these opportunities. But Arkansas is the more talented team. I don't think there's any question about that. They're just not playing like it right now. I mean, I said on my preview that went out this morning, Arkansas showed me nothing that makes me feel like they're going to go and win this game at Madison Square Garden tonight. But there's just a part of me that feels like they're kind of go do it. I think the biggest key here is Michigan. They don't have a bunch of NBA talent, but what they do have is a very unique way about doing things, because they got a 7-footer. They have 2 7-footers, but one of them is like a point forward, man. Like he shoots threes, he handles it on ball screens. It's a weird thing for people to try to defend. But I think Arkansas has the ultimate X factor there. His name's Adu Thero, who can play every position. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can guard guys like that. It's not weird for him. It's not different. I think if Arkansas wins that matchup, they win the game. I think it's that simple.
I don't know if this is accurate information or not. I feel like it is, just based on where all the metrics are at. Arkansas is kind of in that 40 to 50 range. That's typically where you see bubble teams. Obviously, it's very, very early. I'm not trying to really do a whole March Madness thing, but Kingsley here says we are currently last 4 in. I think if you lose this game, which, again, there's no shame in losing this game to Michigan, but if you lose this game, that means Arkansas kind of whiffed on their non-conference schedule. They didn't pick up kind of a marquee win, and you had plenty of opportunities to do it. Now, in the SEC, especially with how the SEC is playing, Arkansas's resume they're going to have plenty of chances to improve their resume. But I think this game, you get this win, you'll get a little bit of a bump in the KenPom, you'll get a little bit of a bump in the net, all that kind of stuff would make you feel a lot better, to where you don't have to have this conversation of Arkansas being a bubble team. Are they going to make the tournament? Are they not? You win this game, I'd feel pretty confident in saying Arkansas's an NCAA tournament team. Like, we don't really have to keep our eye on that. You lose this one, it puts a lot of pressure on conference play of what you have to accomplish.
Oh yeah. I mean, people are already planting the seeds. You guys know that I consume a lot of content that maybe I shouldn't, but a lot of national content too. I can barely listen to the Eye on College Basketball podcast anymore, and I've really always enjoyed it. But they can't talk about Kentucky without taking a dump on John Calipari. They can't talk about Arkansas without doing it, and they don't talk about them in the same lens as programs that are very similar to them. Whatever, they got to be fine. But it was the same thing. They were calling this Jimmy V Classic the least compelling field that it's ever been, and it was just all questions about Arkansas. We had the random coaches poll that all voted John Calipari the best offseason hire. Dusty May is going to change that narrative tonight. Arkansas loses this game. Can we really even talk about them as a tournament team? They're going to be talented, but they're underachieving. This is just the Calipari way. He can shut so much of that up for the next 3 weeks by just going out there and winning this game tonight. Please. Mm-hmm. I'm begging you. I'm begging you, Cal. go win this game tonight, so people will shut the hell up about this temporarily. Just give us a little break. Arkansas fans have other things that they're worried about right now. They don't need to be stressed about the basketball team in December. Just go win the damn game.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I feel like with all of that's going on, they need to start putting the Field of 68 and everything on Pornhub, so that way Kentucky fans, I mean, it's just like rage porn that they watch right there, man. You know that they're getting their jollies off to that type of thing and be like, oh yeah, they insulted Cal again. It's like they're always just freaking out so much about it, and it's just absurd, and you just got to get used to it, sadly. So anyways.
Hey, honestly, if Arkansas wins this game, I think people need to start asking the tough questions of Dusty May.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
I felt that way for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's just classic Dusty May, if they lose to Arkansas tonight. Classic. I thought he was going to change. Thought he was going to get better, but he didn't. It's the same old Dusty May each and every time.
By the way,
Sheesh.
we didn't, again, Curtis, we didn't get to talk about it, but Boogie Flynn, did you see that he has like 40 family members or something that are going to pull up at this game?
Yeah.
Obviously
40.
From the Bronx.
Yeah, and his entire high school team, like they're practicing, and then the whole staff and the team is coming to watch. That's really good. That would have been a cool.
Would have loved to hear about that from someone.
Wouldn't that have been neat? Yeah, to hear about that. I wonder how John L. Davis feels about playing against his former teammate and former coach. Good thing I asked him in October at SEC Media Day, because we didn't get the opportunity to do that before this game.
Curtis, you remember when we were at Media Days and we were actually talking about what we were going to ask each player? And we even kind of had this conversation where we're like, well, we'll probably get to talk to him before the Michigan game. We considered not asking him about that because we were like, well, we'll have a pre-Michigan press conference. Even back then, we were kind of ahead of the curve. I mean, geez.
Yeah, those were good times back then. Who knows? Maybe next year we'll get to hear from him when it's all very relevant. So. But speaking of that, a little buy or sell action. We like to do this on Tuesdays, presented by Bet Saracen's number one sports betting app, which they got some specials for the game tonight. So some prop plays and everything. So check it out by downloading the Bet Saracen app or go to betsaracen.com for the absolute best sports betting app here in the state. So just a few things that we'll get to here. And we'll start with, since we're talking basketball, we'll start with basketball. How about this? I meant to put them into the system, but it's not. But either way, buy or sell that someone not named Adu Thiero or Boogie Fland will lead the Hogs in scoring tonight.
Buy it.
Okay,
I'm buying it as well. Are you thinking Nelly or no?
Yeah, I think so. If it's going to happen, it's tonight. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
He did have he had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists in his game in Madison Square Garden last year against Illinois. For the record.
Okay. I hope that's the case. It'd be really nice to have a little difference there. And going back to your point too, Curtis, how about this buy or sell that Mark Pope's name will not be mentioned on tonight's broadcast between Arkansas and Michigan?
You know what? I'm tempted to buy it.
Ooh.
Because they care about John Calipari, not Mark Pope.
True.
And it's sad because Mark Pope's doing a hell of a job.
He is doing a hell of a job. He really unironically is. But yeah, I think they might even reference Kentucky head coach, but I don't know if his name would come out of their mouth.
Okay. So you're selling it?
Yeah, I'll sell.
Yeah, why not?
All right. How about this one? A little bit, since I think the SEC is becoming a basketball conference. I think we can all agree that. How about this? Buy or sell that more SEC teams will be in the semifinals of the college football playoff, or more SEC teams I'm supposed to say than, sorry. More SEC teams in the semifinals for college football playoff than SEC teams in the Final Four.
Sell, I think.
Okay.
I think there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the Final Four, and I think there's going to be 1 in the college football playoff.
Auburn and Tennessee, Bama and Tennessee.
2 of the 3, maybe.
Arkansas.
You know what I think is going to happen, and this is a complete crapshoot. Just guess. I think there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the college football playoff semifinals. I think that the SEC is going to be the team that dominates the regular season, and then some of those top teams don't make the Final Four. Maybe it's like a disappointing tournament thing where how in the tournament every year one conference does really well or really bad, and we overreact to it, or we're like, oh wow, the Big Ten went 1-5. Clearly, they sucked all year. Like that type of thing. I could see like some of the top SEC teams not rising to the occasion in March Madness. I mean, we know Kentucky's not going to.
I might lean towards the college football playoff if Georgia had their quarterback's elbow. That's the only thing for me because I don't know that I see Tennessee making it all the way through. Yeah. Texas, I don't want them to, but they probably will. But yeah, otherwise I'd feel really good about Georgia's path. I just don't know. I didn't see enough of that quarterback tonight.
Now Georgia only has to win one game, right?
They would have to beat
Boise
or
no, it'd be it's Indiana or Notre Dame.
Indiana or Notre Dame, yeah.
See, yeah, I think they'll win that game.
Probably.
Yeah. But I agree. I
mean, they beat Texas without Quinn Ewers, I guess. So
yeah. I mean, if they had Carson Beck, it's weird. It's crazy that we're saying that. If Georgia had Carson Beck, we'd be more confident. But
he's really
we probably would.
Not very good.
Not at all. All right, moving into the football side of things, though. Nice little transition there. How about this? Arkansas, buy or sell. Arkansas will not have another starter enter into the transfer portal from here on out. I mean, they don't have many left. So
okay. Everyone that's announced that they're coming back, I think maybe one of those guys backtracks a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually sell that.
Okay.
I mean, on paper, they shouldn't. Because think about it. Like, who on offense? I mean, they don't have any returning starters left on offense outside of Carmona and Nichols. I guess Nichols is the one you'd worry. But, I mean, what the hell is Addison Nichols going to do? Defensively, all you have coming back is Cam Ball,
Quincy Rhodes,
Story.
Sort of. He doesn't even count.
Rhodes. I don't even know if you can count
one
Rhodes
game. Yeah,
Rhodes, by the way, is tapped in. He's a hog. He was even tweeting during our show and was like, "Good luck to my teammates. This is crazy."
Yeah,
but I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Sorry is probably the one you got to worry about because in the DB room they don't have any starters left. Spence is another one, yeah, and him, he's kind of on the fringe of a starter because him and Dick split time. But yeah, I think I actually might buy it just because like if they drop a bag for Sorry, they're good.
Is Larry Worth a starter now?
I think he started the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
I mean, would we consider Blackstock a starter?
He did start games, but I don't know if I would consider him a starter.
He's going to start the bowl.
Yeah, I mean, me and you are going to start the bowl. Yeah. I mean, shoot, at this point in time.
Well, also in Blackstock, it's like, where are you going to go that's a better situation than what you're in now? You got paid like $400K just to stink. Like, well, I mean, that's a good deal if you can get it.
All right, so another one will be kind of dealing with the transfer portal. How about this? Buy or sell? The Razorbacks will get a big-time transfer before the week's over. Addition.
Well, what does big time mean?
I mean, one that to me, I probably should clarify, but you only have so many characters. To me, a big-time transfer would be a player that had other opportunities or offers to an SEC school. Or multiple SEC schools, I should say.
So I don't think Sharp counts in that then, right?
I don't think so, no.
Nor does the defense. Although the JUCO DB, I feel like he might have had an SEC.
It was offer. Arkansas, UCLA, and somebody.
Maybe not. So yeah, I'll go sell just because I think they're going to land.
I think they're going to get
guys this week. I really do. I don't think they are going to be considered big time transfers. So I will go sell.
Okay. And finally, this is random one, has nothing to do with Arkansas. Buy or sell that Bill Belichick will be the North Carolina head coach for at least 3 seasons because apparently that's a thing that is happening. He will be the head coach of North Carolina.
I have to sell that.
I'm going to sell it. I haven't kept up during our show, obviously. I don't know if he's actually going to get that job. Apparently, he sent him like a 400-page manifesto listing out his demands.
Yep.
I think North Carolina is going to realize if North Carolina has any competent non-idiots in their athletic department, they will be like, hey, do we really want to sell our soul just to get the washed up 72-year-old to groom his son for the head coaching job that he's not ready for? I think if you're North Carolina, you just fired a washed up legend. You're going to hire a washed up legend who hasn't coached college football or done the NIL deal, and you're going to promise his son he can be the head coach. Like, I think if they hire him, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I'm going to go sell for sure.
Would you rather have Sam Pittman or Bill Belichick as the head coach?
Sam Pittman.
Sam Pittman.
I was thinking the same thing too.
to be here, John.
Yep. He's all Arkansas. He's all hog, and he's been embraced. So perfect. That's your buy or sell presented by Bet Saracen. So by the way, Carlton's up there, Curtis. So if you want to say what's up to him around there, he's going to be, I'm sure, politicking while he's up there doing some stuff. So a lot of people I know that have made the trip up there to Northwest Arkansas. Or to New York City from Northwest Arkansas. So it'll be great tonight. Hopefully it's a good one for Arkansas actually on the court too. So, all right. And then finally, we'll get to some of your chats too, but want to remind everybody a little SEC update action presented by Rhoback. It's that time of year. Want to get you some great gifts for maybe yourself or for your loved ones. And because of you being such a loyal listener and watcher of us here at Inside Arkansas, we're giving you a great deal where if you just go to Rhoback.com, enter in promo code HOGSBY20, get 20% off your first purchase. Doesn't matter how much you put in that little cart, 20% off guaranteed on your first purchase with Rhoback. They got it all. Performance gear, some of the nicest stuff, Razorback gear and sorts. So check it out today at Rhoback.com. And just really, there's a few other things that are going on, but I did see that, of course, Tennessee plays tonight also in the Jimmy V Classic. That game's at 6, right? 6? It's 6 and 8, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Central time?
Sorry, I'm in the other time.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. It's no, it's 5:30.
Okay. So there'll be that game, and they'll be facing off against Miami, a team that Arkansas already faced.
That's going to be a slaughter, dude.
Yeah, man, that's going to be bad. Tennessee, just recently #1 in the country, pretty good. But also, this is not necessarily, it's a little bit of an SEC update, but it is kind of funny seeing the #1 recruit in college basketball is going to BYU.
Yeah.
Not he had offers to Alabama, North Carolina, and Kansas, but decided that the Cougars of BYU was the place for him.
I saw someone did the domino meme where it's like the small one and then it ends up leading up to the big one, and it was like SMU loses to Indiana State in the NIT, BYU lands the #1 player in the country, because it is that way. How about BYU just with the money bags?
The B is for billionaire, man.
Yeah, that's what Trilly said. We kind of heard, like, I remember a couple of months ago, I don't know if it was Trilly or some other college basketball guy that was like, "Hey, BYU basketball, they're really ready to spend big money." And I remember seeing that and being like, "What the hell are they talking about?" Turns out they got some money.
Yep.
Good for them.
Mormons like to spend money if they got it.
They outbid Arkansas for that international kid in the summer.
Yeah. Maybe that's when I saw it and I was like, what the hell? BYU winning bidding wars? But shit. All BYU had to do was get rid of their coach, and now they're thriving.
Do they?
That's a joke, everyone. That's a joke, Kentucky fans. I'm just messing with you.
I was going to ask, do you think that BYU has more NIL money than Kentucky does in basketball?
Yeah, they just gave it to AJ DeManza.
They don't have any more left, but they did.
Right.
Hey, everybody will be watching them. That's for sure. Everybody will be at least paying attention to them for the most part. But that was big, and it's just funny to see that happening. Where it's like, oh yeah, transfer. You got BYU getting into the mix for some of the big time players. I was thinking about doing like a little portal update for SEC, but it'd take me 18 hours to get through that, so I'm not even going to worry about it.
Yeah.
But I do want to get to a few of your chats, folks. Again, appreciate everybody watching in. It's been great. Not fun for maybe you as a Razorback fan, but it's been great discussing it and everything. Want to have a shout out? Vince for me said, "Hey, great bombastic today. Everybody should go watch the Diggs video. Great insight on the outfield." There you go, Andrew.
There is something funny about just like all this chaos going on in football. Basketball season's really starting to ramp up, and I just tried to sneak in a little Arkansas outfield update. Hope the people like that. I did unironically really appreciate everyone that commented, because I basically told them in the video, comment, and I'm going to do this kind of like Curtis's daily mailbag thing. I'm just going to answer as many questions until we run out. And a bunch of people commented with questions. I really appreciate that. If you want to hear me talk baseball, hit me up. I will be talking about it very regularly.
And also, like this, I'm trying to remember what this was from JTA's was. Appreciate you bringing to light. And my wife is leaving me, taking all, because of the moving out thing. Okay, taking the transfer portal. And Sam Pittman. Thanks, John. You're welcome, Hazelwood. Glad I could provide that for you. Let's see. Also, we got Jonathan says, "What are the odds of any of these kids coming back, or does Pittman not let them come back?" They ain't coming back, bro.
Pittman should beg them and kiss their feet if they're asking to come back. I don't think. I mean, look, that stuff happens here and there. We've seen it happen a couple times with Arkansas. But I wouldn't be waiting on that to happen, especially because most of them have visits lined up to other SEC schools. So I don't anticipate they're going to be like begging to come back to Arkansas. And so, no, I would not be. I definitely, maybe if it's someone that like just doesn't have any offers, like Dallas Young or something like that, could come back.
Yeah, it would be like a Bryce Stevens last year kind of move.
Correct.
Or like a Malik Hornsby. Yeah, maybe Singleton just is like, hey, didn't like my offers, I'm back.
I think Malik Hornsby will have a little less of hold on, I want to make sure I say this right. Hornsby is not going to have as many offers in the transfer portal as Singleton.
As Singleton will. That's fair.
Yeah. Megan says, I'm still trying to be positive about the program, but I must say I will not be driving 1,000 miles to watch the Liberty Bowl. Maybe next season if there's more excitement. Megan, there are going to be people who ain't driving 5 miles to see the Liberty Bowl. So I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, that doesn't make you negative or less than a fan.
Keep in mind, this is Canadian Megan, not to be confused with good Megan or bad Megan. This is Canadian Megan. Yeah, I would really question what you had going on if you drove from Canada to Memphis to watch Bryce Stevens be wide receiver 1 for Arkansas. That'd be tough.
Okay, I'm going to address something. This is random, guys. I'm going to address something. I want to ask you guys an honest question right here on the stream in front of everybody. We went to an establishment. I stayed for a little bit this past weekend for the fights and everything. The waitress that said establishment said she was a huge fan of my podcast. Did one of you actually put her up to saying that, or was she actually being genuine and she actually listens to the podcast?
I didn't put her up to it for sure. Also, I always wonder in public when people, because I've been with John a lot, where people will come up and be like, oh, John Neighbors, love your show, man. And then they don't say anything to me. So I'm like, either they don't actually watch John's show, because which case they would see me on it, or they're just referencing your radio show in the day or Locked On. I did kind of want to inquire and be like, what John Neighbors show are you a fan of? And why are you not a fan of me? That's basically what I wanted to ask.
We're just here, buddy. We're just along for the ride, you know?
Well, I was just, because I was trying to explain it there at the table, but it's one of those things to where all of us appreciate anybody that comes up and says they enjoy our stuff. Like we love that. It's awesome. But it just means a little bit more when it's a female, just because I don't know, stop traffic. But our audience isn't exactly very diverse when it comes to the two genders, very male dominated. So it's just nice whenever a female comes up and says, hey, I listen to you. I was like, hey, that's nice. That's very nice of you. So I just want to make sure that wasn't some cruel prank that you guys were trying to burst my bubble and get me excited for having a female listener. And it's all ploy, all of that. So.
John Neighbors closes the show with a slight flex.
Yeah, no big deal. Whatever. I mean, hey, that was a night of flexes, my man. That was a night of flexes. Let's see. Also, everyone just wants to know, how's the weather in NYC, Curtis?
It's gross, gloomy, but not cold.
Did you take a picture of it?
Buffalo?
Yeah.
It's very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Also, I was thinking about this. So we're looking at 9 p.m. local time tip for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I didn't really put that connection. I mean, it's gonna be late for us too, but it is wild that it's 9 p.m. for the people there.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Eastern time zone, man. Eastern time zone. All right, well, fellas, that does it about for us. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here? Because Curtis, I know you got a busy night ahead of you, so be sure everyone to tune in for Pod at the Palace post-game show. It's gonna be awesome.
We'll see.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess to be determined.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do know, assuming it works and we're able to get it off without a hitch, it will be an abbreviated version because they're kicking people out of there pretty quick when this thing is over tonight after the press conferences and stuff. So we will have it, but we will not be. We really won't this time. I know we always say that. We're like, oh, yeah, half hour guys will be in and out. And then me and Andrew always go an hour. No, we really will be faster there. Otherwise, I'll get locked in Madison Square Garden, which not the worst thing in the world, actually.
They're going to be kicking you out. You tell me there's something else going on at Madison Square Garden? Soon?
They're getting people the hell out of there. I don't know if they got to set back up for the Knicks or what's going to happen. But then I also have a 45-minute subway ride back that I've got to catch too. So
yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Interesting.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, and I hate when they do that, when they put a timeline on it where it's like, you better finish your work now. Hell, I mean, I hate to keep bringing him up, but Bob, what do you think Bob would do in that situation? Because we've been with Bob after games. He takes a lot more than an hour to finish his work. I think he would be he'd be causing some. Bob's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But if you work for the arena and you're trying to tell him to leave and before he's finished his job, that's the one time you'll get feisty Bob. He tried to fight the folks at Little Rock that one time.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. He's
like, y'all can lock the door, but I'm going to finish my work.
Yeah, you don't have to stay.
Yeah, that's the only time Bob gets mad, something like that. Or if some media member ruins the press conference because they ask a question when they're not supposed to a certain person and it ends early. So those were the only things that happened.
Correct.
But still, yeah, it's going to be great though. So be sure to tune in and subscribe to Inside Arkansas. As we're going to keep you going with all the transfer portal talk, all of the college basketball goings on with Razorback basketball with Pod at the Palace, and even Bombastic's making a return too. So a lot of stuff going on here with the Razorback sports. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. Also check out our website at InsideArkansas.com. So for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.